Hello. So, over the last month since I've been posting videos about being laid off, and I've been getting a lot of comments and questions, and a lot of you have been telling me to apply to county, state, and federal jobs. And I just wanted to let you all know that I have been applying to county, state, and federal jobs. And a big part of that has been taking civil service tests. And so I've taken about 8 civil service tests over the last 7 months. And so today I decided I'm going to do a video about civil service tests because I think that I've become quite good at them. So first of all, what is a civil service test? So a civil service test is an exam that they give people who are applying for public servant jobs for the county, state, or federal government. So you have to be chosen for a civil service test. So what happens is when you apply for a job online for a state, federal, or county position, somebody will go over your resume and see if they think that you're a good fit for the position. And if they think that you're a good fit for the position, they'll contact you and say, hey, um, we think you're a good fit for this position. Could you please show up at this place and take a civil service test? So that's how it works. And the county that I'm in actually has a building just for a civil service test. But if you're taking a civil service test for a city, they might have you take the test online or show up at City Hall to take the test. So it just varies. I would say the hardest civil service test that I've taken are the 911 dispatcher tests. The critical test is what they call them. And it's because of the typing. It's not regular typing. You know, it's not like somebody gives you a paragraph and you type it, or you look at a piece of paper and there's a paragraph and you retype it. What they do is they'll give you VIN numbers, license plate numbers, zip codes, addresses, last name, first names. They'll speak those things to you, and then they'll have you type them in a minute later. So you have to have a really good memory, and you also have to be able to click inside fields and type that information. It's not like a consistent paragraph. You have to click in a field and type the information in, and it's just really awkward and odd. Now I can type 55 words a minute, but I can't type 55 words a minute that way because I'm not used to doing it. There's also a map portion of the test, which wasn't easy, and you can only take that portion of the test if you pass the typing part of the test. So I did get called for an interview to become a 911 dispatcher, and after I went on the interview, I found out that to become a 911 dispatcher is a long, drawn out process that just takes so much time and is so intrusive that I just didn't like the process. So to become a 911 dispatcher, you have to go on 3 interviews. The first interview is a panel interview. And in the panel interview, you get grilled by 4 different people. They ask you all different sorts of questions, some of them personal and some of them just long, drawn out questions. I went on that interview and I didn't like it. Had I passed that interview, I was going to have to take a criminal background check, and it's a very extensive criminal background check where you have to list every place that you've ever lived and every job that you've ever had, and they go through it with a fine-tooth comb. Then you have to take a drug test, and then you have to go on another interview. So for the second interview, they have the police come to your house and interview you at your home. And not only do the police interview you at your home, but they go to your neighbors' houses and ask them about you. And I think I did not like that at all. I don't even really know my neighbors, but I don't want them knowing my business. And I just thought that was sort of ridiculous. So after that interview, you have to take a lie detector test, which is, I don't know. I've never taken a lie detector test, but for a job, really, especially, I mean, maybe if it was for a job that paid like over $100,000 a year, but a 911 dispatcher position does not pay that much. It pays around $60,000 to $70,000 a year. Um, so I just thought that was ridiculous. But the final interview is with the chief of police. So, and it takes about 5 months to become a 911 dispatcher. And if you're laid off and wanting a job in a hurry, it's not, something you're going to get in a hurry. So, I found with a lot of these county, city, and state jobs, they're not jobs you're going to get in a hurry. When you take a civil service test, you apply for one of these jobs, you might not hear from them for months. I've never applied for one of these positions and been called for an interview within a month. So the latest civil service test have taken is to be a crime analyst, and this was a really interesting test because there were two portions of the test. The first one was 45 minutes, and it was a multiple choice test that consisted of questions over Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Outlook Mail. There were paragraphs in there that you had to read and answer questions about, and there was also a spelling test. And that portion of the test was easy. Now, the second part of the test was a 3 hour written exam. And in the written exam, you had to come up with three crime patterns from the information that they gave you. And what they did was they gave you two maps, and they gave you a bunch of statistics about crimes, what time, like statistics such as what time of day the crime happened, what part of the city the crime happened, what type of weapons, if they happened to men or women. And you had to come up with three different crime patterns and write a paragraph about each. And you had 3 hours to do it in. I got mine done early. I did not know that the exam was going to be 4 hours, so I just came up with a couple of sentences for each crime pattern and turned it in. And I didn't think that I passed the test, but guess what? Last week I found out that I actually passed the test. So I'm really happy about that. It's a really interesting job. I would say that the easiest civil service tests I've taken were for the office assistant roles, and that's because they're just multiple choice tests. And the test basically just consisted over questions over Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, Outlook Mail, and there were paragraphs that you had to read and answer questions. And they gave you a spelling test, and they were just basic tests, and I aced those tests. So how you find out if you did well on a test is they'll send you an email about 2 weeks later telling you if you pass or failed the test. And if you pass the test, they will put you into two different bands, band 1 or band 2. Band 1 is for those people who did the best on the test, and band 2 is for those people who passed the test but didn't do as well as the people in band 1. So the people in band 1 get their names submitted to departments first for jobs. So I just got 2 emails last week telling me that my name had been submitted to two different departments in my city for jobs, but the departments still have not contacted me for interviews for these positions. The only actual interview I've ever had based off of a civil service test was for a 911 dispatcher position. So in conclusion, I have taken 8 different civil service tests. 3 of those were for 911 dispatcher positions. 3 of those were for office assistant positions. And one of those was for a police records technician position, and one of those was for a crime analyst position. And I would say there's a couple things that they have in common. First, you have to have really good reading comprehension to take the test. Second of all, the test usually has a spelling section on it. And lastly, the tests usually contain questions over Microsoft Office. So if you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Sorry, I had a cold this week. I've been under the weather, and I hope you like this video. Thanks. Bye.